Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beneath Vancouver Radio, episode number 62. We have crazy to believe, actually, that we've even reached 62. I remember doing episode like 25 only about a little over a year ago. So thank you so much, everyone, for your constant support and for all the listeners who've been supporting us these last couple of months. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce the special guest for episode number 62, Angela. Angela, how are you doing today?
I am great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. I mean, at the end of the day, as I always say, this podcast would not be possible without the guests, right? I'm pretty sure people would eventually get tired of just listening to me all day. So I thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit more about yourself and kind of what you do and kind of what you started. And so you know what? We'll just jump right into it and kind of start off with, as I usually do with every other episode, and that is, Angela, who are you today?
You know what? I love that you asked all your guests this question because it's just so open and you can just answer it in so many different ways.
Exactly.
And so today I am somebody who has a constant desire to learn and to grow. I love to explore and try new things. And because of my adventurous nature, I've been able to dabble into so many different things. And so I'm so proud of who I am today. And today and every day, I am filled with so much gratitude. And I can truly say that I am so fulfilled with where I am in life, like today, every day.
Every day. I like that. I think that's a point that everyone obviously hopes to achieve, and I'm happy to hear that aspect has been fulfilled. It brings joy to me, even though we've only met a couple minutes ago. So I'm happy to hear that. But let's. I'm going to shift gears a little bit, or just kind of jump into the first kind of question here, even more specifically, and talking about the Rosy Weekend, which is obviously kind of how I reached out to you and kind of how I found you through Instagram and stuff like that. Can you share a little bit about what the Rosy Weekend is, kind of the origin story, and what it is for people who might not know what the company is about?
So I am a healthcare worker by trade. And so in the midst of the pandemic, I decided to open my own little shop. So I am the founder of the Rosy Weekend, and I sell headband ear savers. That's what I'm selling right now. That's how it started. I basically opened the shop to solve my own problem of wearing face masks and getting sore ears, like being a healthcare worker and working overtime. My ears are so sore. And so I needed to find something that was more practical and a little bit more fashionable.
I've taken a look at some of the products. They're very fashionable. I will give you that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm working on like a men's line right now. It's just been so rewarding and so fun. And I've had such an incredible response from the community, and it's just made me even more excited. And I'm just so happy and grateful that I started this journey.
Well, first of all, thank you for all your work and all your hard effort, obviously, during this pandemic, being a healthcare worker. I'm sure I speak for everyone when it comes to that. I thank you for that. In terms of, I guess, like the entrepreneurial side of you, has that always been something that's kind of growing up been a part of you? Have you always been interested in kind of venturing different things, or was it just solely kind of with this particular issue and the problem that obviously you solved or wanted to solve and ended up solving yourself? How has that kind of aspect come to life for you?
So I'm actually somebody who never wanted to go into business. My parents have businesses of their own, and seeing how they ran their business, I just did not
stay away.
Yeah, I was like, this is not for me. I'm going into healthcare. Like early on, I knew I was going into healthcare. So I've always had an interest in marketing, and like I like the idea of business, and I think my personality really suits that type of work. But just knowing or just seeing how my parents were, I thought that was the only way you can run a business. And so not knowing a lot about it, I was like, this is not for me. But over the past few years, I've encountered so many different people, lots of whom are in business, and that really opened up my eyes. And, with the internet now and the online presence being so strong, there's just business is just a completely different thing than it was, 10, 20 years ago. And so I've been dabbling more on ideas. I've usually in the past, things that I wanted to start with a business were just things that I wanted that I couldn't find myself. So it was never really to be like, oh, I need to start a business to make millions of dollars.
Yeah, exactly.
It was really just to solve my own problem. like time and time again. And
that's how great businesses start. You're solving probably your own problem that I'm sure a bunch of other people have as well, as case in point with the Rosy Weekend. So
mhm. Yeah, and so just I think right now, this time in my life, I'm just a little bit more fearless and I have
Mhm.
more confidence in myself. And so that's why the Rosy Weekend has launched during this time.
Right.
If I had the same confidence years ago, I might have 5 or 6 businesses by now. I'm not quite there yet. So.
We might do a little bit of a recatch episode in 5 years time, and there'll be maybe 5 or 6 businesses down the line, maybe not even just local to Vancouver. You'll be worldwide or something, who knows, right? I think you mentioned it yourself, like the business landscape now compared to 5, 10, 15 years ago is completely different, and that's definitely changed. And the pandemic has definitely accelerated that as well, in terms of the importance of having a digital presence, understanding your customers, and really being able to, at the end of the day, provide a B to C kind of business. And people are going to be probably shopping online even after this pandemic, right? They're so accustomed to
Mhm.
just scrolling through social platforms, Instagram shopping. I know TikTok is like implementing shopping, all like these different platforms that just make it as easy as possible for the customer to see product, buy product, get product, right? So
Mhm.
I'm excited to see as well kind of how the landscape continues to change, as obviously technology continues to change. But yeah, businesses now, and I'm sure for a lot of people is a great opportunity. And at the end of the day, if you're solving a problem and you're helping yourself and other people, I think that's a rewarding part as well. I'm curious
Mhm.
as to how you came up with the name, the Rosy Weekend, because I know for like my experience with the podcast and Beneath Vancouver as a brand, it took me a very long time. You might think it was just 2 words, Aaron, like it can't be that hard, but I did a lot of brainstorming and just to make it as like brand friendly. And that's something that you have to be cognizant about too, right? Like your name
Mhm.
is not just the name, it's going to be the brand, right? Like how do you, um, promote yourself, or how do you envision the brand to look like? So can you share a little bit as to kind of how you got inspired with the name?
Mhm. Well, I have a booklet full of ideas, business ideas, name ideas. Anytime I cross something that I'm like, ooh, I like the word of that, I just write it
Yeah,
down. Because you never know when you need it, right? So,
right.
so the Rosy Weekend. So the word rosy, I've always been drawn to. I love what it means. It means a variety of things actually. Rosy, I always like the phrase like rose-colored lens.
Mm,
Just seeing the world in that way. But it means like health, like a healthy glow, uh, hope, good luck, good fortune,
right.
cheerful. And so I believe that I'm a lot of those things, very positive on outlook on life and things like that. So the word Rosy means a lot to me. And I wanted a name that was truly authentic to me. And the word weekend just seemed like a natural, like a no-brainer because the only time I really get is a small fraction of my weekends. Like I do
Hmm.
so many things outside of work. And so the weekend, like 2 hours in the weekend is all I really have to myself
Hmm.
to do all the creative things I want to do and to spend some of the time to do self-care. And so when I thought of the Rosy Weekend, that was the time that I could work on my business. That's kind of
Yeah.
when I decided to go for it and put time aside, aside from my weekly job and everything else. And so I just felt like the Rosy Weekend was just very fitting. And I wanted my shop to be a place of like positivity and good feelings. And I don't think it limits me
Hmm.
to if I want to grow my brand in the future. And so I've been really happy with the name. And everyone always asks me that because it's no correlation
Yeah.
to my name, right? So yeah, I'm really proud of the name and the logo and all that.
Yeah, it all looks very good. I mean, when I visited the website, I got exactly that feeling that you had mentioned, like kind of warmth, comfort, and just as a like the colors and everything as well. So many things that go into thinking of like a brand image and brand guidelines and stuff like that. So, huge kudos to you on that and being able to really resemble who you are as a person on a website. I think that's obviously not the easiest thing to do. So, I
Mhm.
personally enjoyed it, and I'm sure obviously all your other customers and people who will probably visit the website as well after this podcast will get that feeling as well. So I'm happy. So. Exactly. Right. Exactly. What's been kind of the path so far? Like, obviously you started during this pandemic, which, you know, at this time of this recording, we're a little over a year and a half into now, roughly a year and a half. What's been kind of obviously there's no roadmap when it comes to creating a business or starting a business or anything like that, but what's been kind of milestones for you so far, and aspects of like, you look back and think to yourself of like, wow, I achieved that, or I was able to, there might be some milestones in that booklet that you had mentioned as well, right? That you have. So anything that comes to mind or anything that you're wanting to share with the audience?
Well, this journey, it's just been like, it feels long, but not really. I feel like that's kind of the vibe of the pandemic.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
long, but not really. Well, in the beginning, when it was just an idea for me to create this product, it was really just a small little hobby. And then when I decided to go for it, that was a huge milestone, because I'm like, okay, am I really doing this? I almost talked myself out of it.
Right.
And then when I decided to, I remember just purchasing like the online platform and learning how to do every single thing was a little milestone for me.
Right.
Like figuring the name, that was milestone number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, purchasing the website. Number 3, learning how to make a website. Oh my gosh, like I don't know how people do it. I understand.
I can relate. Yeah.
Why there are people who do what they do to create websites and platforms. Like if I had the money, like if I had like somebody who funded my business, I would have paid somebody to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, learning how to do the website, and then a little bit of the coding and all the ins and outs of the business. I had a long checklist, and every time I check one thing off, it was a little celebration, to be honest. Like working long hours in the hospital and then coming home and then spending another 5-6 hours to like 1 or 2 a.m. only to work the next day early in the morning. Like that was grueling, but it was just, I was so passionate, and I still am. So it keeps you going, right? When you are so excited about something that you've created. And so when I did my official launch, it was in February of this year. So it's only been a few months.
Okay.
I did a soft launch for December. I was in a little Christmas market and, selling it to locals. And then I decided in February was my official launch. And I just had such an overwhelming positive response that was like totally unexpected.
Yeah. A lot of stuff is sold out. So I'm assuming it's going good.
I've been sold out, and I've had so many people reach out to me. And I'm not sure if you saw my website, but a portion of the proceeds for my headbands will be donated to a local charity. And so I had so many positive emails and people reaching out to me, charities and local news. Like it was just so amazing. And I was like, wow, like how could I have almost talked myself out of this? Like this is just so much good have come out of it. And and so now I'm just kind of thinking of like the next step. I'm trying to be a little bit more organized in my schedule. It's hard in the summer because I have so many other commitments. But it's just so easy to put, your emails aside and just ignore them. But my next thing would be kind of planning out what I want to be launching in my shop for months to come and next year, and kind of seeing how I can grow my business. So that would be that's my hope, my next milestone.
Yeah, the next thing on the journey.
Yeah.
You had said as well that there was like a men's line potentially coming down the road as well.
Yes. So I've been working on it. Yes, spoilers. And I'm going to give your listeners a little insight. I haven't even announced it on the website yet, but because I do all my photography, my own photography, editing, everything. I just finished doing my product shoots for the men's stuff. And I'm changing the marketing a little bit. It's for men's athletic. Ooh. And because my shop is called the Rosy Weekend, the men's collection is going to be called the quote unquote Rosy collection.
I love it.
So it's gonna be the Rosy, the Rosy line. And I'll be launching that hopefully in the next month. I just need to finish editing and getting my photos up onto my website. But your listeners will be the first ones to hear that.
I like
stay
that.
Tuned for that.
Excellent. Yeah, you heard it here first. There's a new line in the works for sure, and it's so exciting and it's so rewarding as well to hear you like say all these different things. And I think the thing that a lot of people, myself and a lot of listeners, can definitely relate to is the aspect of, working your day job, long hours, and then still being able to go home and continue to work on your passion project and being able to work on something that at the end of the day doesn't necessarily, have to be done, but you're so into it, you're so passionate about a certain thing and seeing it come to life that you're willing to put in those extra hours. And I think for a lot of people, that's really, I feel like entrepreneurship and building your own, either business, brand, whatever it might be. That's the emphasis of what it is being really passionate about it. And at the end of the day, it's a sprint, not a marathon, right? Like, sorry, the other way around. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Like, wait, hold on.
Yeah. Other way around.
Yeah.
Other way around. It's a marathon, not a sprint, in the sense of, you won't see potentially the fruits of your labor until a year, 2 years, 3 maybe. But you're so passionate and enjoy doing the work that it doesn't even matter. It's just like, for me, I remember when I first started Beneath Vancouver and writing the blogs and meeting people, I was working at Best Buy at the time. And, I'd go to school, work the night shift at Best Buy. I'd come home at like 11:30, almost midnight. And then I would just be on my laptop, working on the website or thinking of things to brainstorm. And that was what kind of pushed me and kept me going, thinking about school the next day. I'm like, I should probably do my readings. Probably not. So, all these different aspects of life, it's so interesting. And I think for a lot of people, once you find that thing that fulfills you and fulfills your drive, it's in my opinion an experience that can't be replicated, or a feeling that can't be replicated. So I'm happy to hear that you found that, and hopefully for a lot of listeners out there as well, whether that's doesn't even have to be like your own business. It can be something that you're really passionate about, school or learning in general, right? It's vastly different for different people, and at the end of the day, as long as you put your heart into it, I think a lot of people can tell that, and I can definitely tell that you're passionate about what you're doing. So yeah, just a great opportunity for everyone here who's tuning in. I want to talk a little bit about kind of not the downsides, downsides / obstacles. Obviously for a lot of people during this pandemic, whether you were just starting, your business, or you had a business already, a lot of different kind of hoops and things that you had to kind of jump through, and different adaptations that you had to implement. How has that, obviously in your case, actually, your business and the kind of the product behind everything was inspired due to the pandemic and the problems that you had with, the face masks and everything like that. What has been kind of the obstacles or things that you've gone through so far in the, I guess, soft launch, let's say December, so in the last 5 months?
Honestly, making the time is just, that was truly my obstacle. And what I found was, after a long day, like in the hospital, like we're so short staffed and I work so much overtime. I'm also a clinical instructor, so I have to be there for my students. Oh, man. And I'm using all my brain power in the day. And so by the time I get home, so many days I'm like, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. I need my sleep, because I cannot risk not having enough sleep and getting sick. Right. If I don't feel well, I can't be at the hospital. And that is obviously my main priority, right? Mm-hmm. To be there and show up at work, especially during the pandemic, but truly trying to fit things in. I mean, even this podcast, we made this, we connected so long ago, and finally, it's just making the time and just kind of sticking to it. And I think when you push something back for so many weeks, it feels like it becomes less important. Mm-hmm. And I don't ever want my business to feel that way. But it did. At some point, I'm like, you know what? I launched already. I'm good.
Yeah. Let it do its thing.
Let it do its thing. But then it's like, you forget that you need to be constantly on the social media, right? I need to promote and post. But then I was kind of getting behind. Like, I wasn't really doing that. I kind of lost a little bit of motivation. Mm-hmm. Before the pandemic. I actually did a little bit of social media marketing with a small team. And when this started, that was definitely something I was most hesitant about, was the social media. I'm like, I don't want to spend more time on my phone than I have to. Mm-hmm. And so that was definitely the hardest part for me, was forcing myself to be on the social media, be active, and be passionate about that part of the work. Mm-hmm. That was the toughest for sure, because, with the website, once you're done, you're kind of done, right? Yep. And you can update things here and there. I had all my products ready to go. And so it was really the social media part. And actually, now that I'm kind of thinking out loud, it's a good problem to have, but finding the time to pack my orders. Like sometimes I just come home and I see like, oh my gosh, I have like 8 orders with 15 different products that I need to wrap. And I get home from work. Sometimes I do evening shifts and the orders are put in the evening and I work till midnight.
Yeah.
But I want to send out my orders to my customers ASAP because for myself, I order something, I almost want it right away. You know, that's why I love Amazon Prime.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're so accustomed to that because of Amazon.
I know. So I'm like, okay, what would my customers want? If I was them, what would I want? So I try to just do it all in the same day or the next morning before work, and then drinking like 2 cups or 3 cups of coffee to keep myself going. That was definitely the downfall, sleep deprivation and making the time.
Yeah. I think for a lot of like finding the balance is obviously super important. I kind of wanted to just quickly ask another question on top of that. Besides like the pen and paper where you make your notes and everything like that, what would you recommend, or do you use any kind of like software or any apps or anything like that? I know for a lot of different people, sometimes pen and paper is enough. I know for some people, they live and breathe to the T their Google Calendar and time blocks and stuff like that. But I just wanted to ask you to see if there's anything in particular that you use or something that really helped you stay organized and stay on top of things and be able to, you know, balance everything that you've got going on in your life.
So I'm a little bit old school when it comes to pen and paper. I love writing. Sorry, no, I don't like writing literature. And
Make sure that distinction is clear.
I'm not good at that, but I love having a pen and paper and writing notes. I love reading books, you know, like holding it versus a Kindle.
Yeah.
And so I like writing things down, and that's what I was doing early on. That's how I always do things, even with my work schedule. I write everything down. And the other reason is because I don't want another reason to be on my phone.
Right.
I really do try to be off my phone and devices as much as possible. And so in the beginning, I actually found this notepad for a mouse. So when I'm editing photos with my mouse, it's on a notepad and I'll write notes directly on it. It's like the best thing ever because you could check it off and it's versatile. It's always with my laptop. And so I was doing that. And then I would find that when I'm at work, I forget what I need to do because I don't have the notepad with me. And so I try to utilize my time at work when it's slow, or if I'm, I don't know, on my lunch break and I just want to do some work, I realize I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I need to do. I can think of things, but you know, it's not as efficient. So then I downloaded this app called a to-do list. It's the best thing because in the app, you write down all the things you need to do. And when you're done, you just double tap and it makes this like crossing out sound. It's so satisfying.
Get the little dopamine fix right there from
Yes, it's like you hear it and you see it cross out and it's still on your list. So I'm like, how many things can I tap off? I also use it for my grocery list. I use it whenever I can because it's just so efficient.
Right.
And so I really just use my notepad and that to-do app.
If you're listening, looking for sponsorships, you know, we can work something out. No, that sounds really good. And I'm definitely very similar in that regards as well. I love pen and paper. I have like a notebook here. I've got papers to my left. Like I've got papers everywhere, which I feel like sometimes is also a bad thing just because my mind is constantly going and I think of either ideas or things to do. And I'm just like jotting stuff down to not forget. Right. It's similar to your little, to your booklet as well. You never know when writing down an idea might come in handy, you know, down the line. So I also like physical books as well. I just started getting into that. Are there any books actually that you have to recommend to our listeners or anything like that? Any like books within your last year that you were like, you know what, this really helped me, whether it be personally or professionally, anything along those lines?
So I love reading like the nonfiction, like stories and all, you know, all that. But I really love reading about like psychology books and personality books. And the last one, I'm somebody who reads like 3 books at one time. I don't know why I do it. Actually, I do. I like reading multiple books at a time because it gives me different. Yeah, multitasking. It's not good, but I like reading like a self-help book and then a book about personality traits and then one that's just like a fictional story rom-com or something.
Right.
But I really love the book, The Happiness Project.
Ooh.
I've read it multiple times over the years, and there's just so many little things that you can implement in your life to just make yourself happier.
Right.
Little things that that you don't normally think about.
Mm-hmm.
And recently I read a book called The Four Tendencies. Now the book is a little bit repetitive and a little bit boring, but what I learned from it was so amazing. Like, you can implement it in your life so easily by the way you talk to people, and also the five love languages. I read
Mm-hmm.
that last year. And so books like that I love, because you can use what you learn and improve your relationships with people, whether
Yeah.
that's friends or partners or family. Like, it's just when you can figure out a way to speak their language and get them to understand you a little bit better, or say the right thing so that you can understand them, it just really deepens the relationship. And I've found that it's just been such a great way and such a great thing to implement in my life. So I would
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend those types of relationship books and personality ones, to just ways you can improve your communication with those around you.
Yeah. Yeah. Communication, I mean, is all around us, whether it's be verbal, nonverbal, work setting, non-work setting. At the end of the day, you're communicating with people. So I totally agree in that regards. I think any sort of, book about yourself, or not necessarily about yourself, but like self-help to better yourself as an individual when it comes to communicating with others, I think is beneficial regardless of really where you are in life. And I've heard good things about the Happiness Project. I might have to pick that up. For another book. I got a few already on deck. So I'm also same with you. I read a book and then I'm like, this is good. Or if it's maybe not as good, I'll start reading another one. And then I've got like 3 on my nightstand, and I'm like, I should probably just finish one at a time and actually hopefully be able to retain and apply that information. So that's good though. I'll make sure to add again for other episodes as well. If any guests have good book recommendations, I put it in the podcast description. So if you're tuning in on audio, it's in the description, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it's in the YouTube description down below. So make sure to check out those books as well. And again, Audible, if you're listening and you want to sponsor me, just let me know. You'll have my contact information again in the description down below. Unfortunately, though, it is nearing the end of our episode, which again, I'm 62 episodes in, and it still baffles me as to how quickly these things go. But I think I'm really curious as to what your answer might be for this. And again, for those who are tuning in, you kind of know the question that I'm about to ask if you're a longtime listener. And that is, Angela, what piece of advice would you give to your younger self? Francine, which was a couple episodes ago, she actually gave advice from her younger self to her older self. So if you want to spin it that route as well, I'm fair game for that. But just want to toss that question your way.
Wow, that's a really creative spin on that question.
Yeah.
Mine's not that creative, but a couple things come to mind. The first one is definitely trusting your gut and your intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I think so many of us have that gut feeling, but we kind of sit on it for a little bit too long.
Yeah.
And then we let our logical brain kind of kick in, make excuses, talk us out of it. And then you don't end up doing what you had originally felt, So
Mm-hmm.
I think so many times, like, if I acted on my intuition or my gut feeling, I may have done so many incredible things already, like, or you just always wonder, like, oh, what if I did do that?
Mm-hmm.
Where would I be today? And that's, so I think for sure that, and like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't as fearless years ago. So I always ignored my gut feelings. But because I've just overcome so many things in the last few years, I will just act on it without being impulsive. I think those are two different things.
Yes.
But trusting my gut, and I'm really glad I followed this now and learned this now, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have my shop. And the second one, am I allowed to have two?
Of course, you can have 3 if you want, Angela. It's completely up to you.
And the second one, I think, would be to take a step back. Sorry, my hair is like a little wild. It's so hot. Just take a step back and think a little bit before you react. There's so many things that happen, that we can't control, we don't have
Right.
control over, but the only thing you truly can is how you react to things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, when you see people who are super agitated and rude and mean or super upset, and it's easy to just judge them so quickly. But I think it's important to kind of take a step back and think about, okay, like just assess the situation a little bit. How should I respond so that it doesn't make this outcome worse? It
Mm-hmm.
obviously does not justify what the other person's doing if it's like rude or whatever. But you can definitely take a little bit of control of the situation by controlling how you react. And I think a good reminder is that, you never know what people are going through.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So at the end of the day, like kindness and being kind to others and to yourself is really important. So, I definitely am just thinking in my teenage years, I wish I controlled a little bit more of how I reacted, and just taking a step back before judging others, So yeah, I'm just happy I've come to that realization now.
Right.
But I would love to have told myself those things.
No, that's good. Yeah, it's super. And again, it's like a learning experience, right? For a lot of different things. And, the saying is you get wiser as you get older. That has obviously some truth to it. So those two pieces of advice are, I think, very beneficial, and not even necessarily particularly when you're younger, but even for people who are potentially tuning in right now, who are in certain aspects of their life where that might be applicable, right? I think that's the beauty of this podcast as well, is there's so many different stages in life when it comes to the guests, but also to the listeners and the people who are tuning in. Whether you're a first year college student or, just graduated from university, or maybe you're still in high school, or you're, working full time for quite some time now, or whatever the case might be. I think you can grasp from different aspects of, what the conversation has kind of gone through, and be able to apply it in your life, and thinking about it almost as like a book, right? This podcast in itself is like different chapters, and we've had 62 now, and hopefully continue to have more. So thank you again, Angela, for sharing that. I'll give you now your 25 seconds. You can have as long as you want. I just like to kind of make that little joke, but 25 seconds of shout outs or anything along those lines. Where can people find you? The stage is yours. Go for it.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about this. I feel like I'm put on the spot. Well, you can find my shop. It's called the Rosy Weekend, and that's the Instagram handle as well. I'm just so grateful to have had friends who were launching their shop around the same time as mine.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all kind of suffering together, all sleep deprivation,
support group
together. Yeah, a little support group. You gotta find them where you can, right?
Right.
So, couple shout outs. My good friends, Monday Goodies, that's another small shop, and Luer Paper, they launched around the same time as I did. And it's just been such an incredible journey with these ladies. And it's just so amazing to find, especially women supporting each other. And that's what I've really, found in this journey. So many incredible people who are just truly just wanting to support each other. And so, yeah, you can reach me there. I don't even know what else to say. Like 25 seconds. I think I'm good.
You think no, it's all good. Thank you again. And yeah, I'll make sure to add anything, the website, Instagram, everything social related in the description down below for anyone who's tuning in. Once again, this was episode number 62 from Beneath Vancouver Radio. Angela, thank you so much for taking the time. Really do appreciate it. I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure the guests or the listeners are as well, to the men's line and whatever other products and different things that you might have for your business down the road. We wish you the best, and we'll definitely keep an eye out. And yeah, thank you again, everyone, for tuning in, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.